Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Taking the Lead, where I get to interview leaders from the world of PR, communications, and marketing. But we usually don't talk too much about PR or communications and marketing. Really, it's all about leadership. And there is so much to discuss, and there is so much you can learn, and I learn from our guests. So we have a return visitor and friend, Mr. Curtis Sparrer of Bospar, one of the leading tech and so much more communications agencies. They're a virtual agency, which he's very proud of. And we're welcoming him back because this was just shocking for me to realize. It's January 2024. We are beginning our fifth season of Taking the Lead. And that's due to all of you and our wonderful guests. And we're going to flip things on their head a little bit today. In honor of our anniversary, I thought, who would be more fun than Curtis Sparrer? And I'm not interviewing Curtis again, though he always has a lot to say. We'll certainly have him back in 25. He's going to interview me, which any of you who know Curtis Sparrer know I'm a little scared right now.
As
But
you should.
that said, Mr. Curtis Sparrer, welcome back. Your third visit, sir. Your third visit.
And thank you for not filing the restraining order. I appreciate it.
Well, don't assume that. Don't assume that. We have it right here if we need to press the button. We're okay.
Hey, I've been warned.
So all of you, if you haven't seen Curtis and I together, I think you have a sense of what may be going on today. Curtis,
Yes,
as you all in broadcast journalism say, I'm tossing it to you, sir.
and I got it. So this year is yet another year where everyone's hair is on fire about AI. And Ken, you've been talking to all sorts of executives and leaders across the industry. What are they telling you about AI? What are they concerned about? What are they excited about? What's the tea?
Yeah, some have, thank you. Some have jumped in. They've set up people, expertise, departments. Thank goodness they're setting up standards and they're looking at other standards that are out there. That is so, so critical, I think, in an era of misinformation to understand its power and understand the limits we need to use ethically. I think that is absolutely critical. I know some are still afraid of jumping in. Some are afraid, oh, it will take my job. I don't think that's the case because there's always going to be that human element, that editorial element, that judgment, right? That I don't know that AI can bring. But I think it is so important for all of us, and I'm saying this to myself now, to better understand AI and how to use it ethically. And look, for me, there's like a double whammy because on one hand, all my clients are in PR marketing comms advertising. So they're managing through this or hopefully leading through this. And also in the world of coaching, we're looking at what should the role of AI be? I think what is most important about it is to eliminate any fear and replace that fear with knowledge. Jump in and understand it if you don't yet.
I'm glad you touched upon these points about AI because it's been kind of gnawing at me. I've seen right now a lot of different executives who, I hate to say this, but kind of do the bare minimum of their job. And in a way, they're behaving like algorithms. I mean, there are PR agencies, for example, and their big thought on media relations is they're going to look up journalists, they're going to understand what they do, but they're not really going to interact with them. They're not actually going to take the effort to invest and know them. And so one of the things that we did at Bospar in 2023 is we produced the San Francisco Press Club's Journalism Awards. We produced a couple of different panels, one with ABC, the local ABC station on San Francisco's supposed doom loop, another with Microsoft on AI. And these were to really get us to understand and know journalists and really understand from them what makes them tick, as opposed to just being little points on a spreadsheet. And the point is that I think that there are leaders like me who really go the extra effort to like go outside of just their core ROI of their job and really invest in the greater community. And then there are other people who just think of it as like, I'm going to do this, 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 and I'm not going to, invest in any other people. How do you get leaders to go beyond the mere algorithm of their job so they shouldn't be replaced by AI in the future?
Well, I think I've got two thoughts there. One, I feel like I'm testifying before Congress and saying, was there a question in there? No, I'm kidding. But
Fair.
but I do, so I'm going to really date myself and age myself in that, for those who don't know, I was in PR agency life 27 plus years before doing this. Where's the logo? Over there. So I started in a lot of media relations and working with journalists, and damn, I was good. I'm going to own that. I was good. And I think there was, as many years ago as that was, I don't know if Curtis was even alive.
74. I was born in
That's
74.
You were alive. You were in kindergarten when I started in the business.
Excellent.
To our office, little Curtis with all those questions. Anyway, um, it is still, I think, about building that relationship, building the relationship with the media. Those of us who are willing to put that time in, I do believe will be rewarded. And that's equally true with your clients. Build the relationship, build the partnership, and with your teams. It's not just about them doing the work of the agency or the corpcom department. It is building the relationship so we may serve our clients. What was the second question? I said
How
there
do
was
you
something.
get
What was the
people
second
to do
question?
that though? How do you encourage, how do you create a culture where you encourage that? Because I will say, hey, there's this press club thing. We should all go. We should, and people, some people really get it, like, yes, I want to go. And other people are like, oh my God, but I want to watch Housewives, or
Right, right.
I have to get out of the house, or you want me to do something after 6 o'clock. That is my work-life balance you're impinging on.
I
How do we get that,
I think
to be a cultural issue for our
sure.
workplace?
I think it's two things, one of which you're already doing. As a leader, if you want your people to do something, step up and do it. Model the behavior you desire, right? There's this great, I want to say Ralph Waldo Emerson quote, what what you do speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying. So the idea is you can be the kind of leader, and it's a good start to say, go to these events, I'll pay for them, da 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 da. But I think you can take it up a notch by saying, I will fund you going to these events. You come back and do a presentation to the team on what you learned. Let's spread that knowledge. Let's spread that investment. So I think if an agency leader is generous in funding professional development and networking, but they require the person to step up and be a leader by sharing the knowledge back with the agency. And the other thing is doing it yourself and going and saying, here's what I learned. So I think I'm repeating a bit. But then the other thing is, anything you really want as a leader of an agency or elsewhere, make it part of the metrics of either promotion, salary increase, or bonus, right? If you want your people to be out there networking because there is with the media, especially to your point, because there's an advantage to them, to the agency at large, and your clients. Put something about that into the metrics when you review them and give some extra points to those who are really out there and living it. And those who don't, okay, but you're not getting that extra point of two towards your bonus. We measure what's important, right? And at review time, there are metrics and we're measuring what's important. So I think if you do all those things, you will see greater compliance. And know that some just never will. And at a certain point, when a leader reiterates the values of the organization, and if one value is both networking with media and or building relationships or just professional development, the people who want that will feel a greater connection. Yeah, this is the place I want to be. And the people who aren't part of that, sometimes you weed them out or they weed themselves out.
I think that's good. It's a little how do I say, carrot and stick, but sometimes leadership is carrot and stick. And Ken, one thing that just occurred to me is the nature of leadership in the era of AI. Do you think that's going to change any, that now that we are having all these algorithms mechanized at a level of speed and sophistication than ever before, does that change what leadership is?
Honestly, I don't think it does. Well, it depends how we define leadership. Many people use leadership when they mean management, how they're managing the firm, how they're growing the firm, acquiring clients, all those things, all critical things. At the end of the day, leadership is about, I always call it a two-part choice, right? Your conscious decision to lead people, to not just be a PR practitioner or manager, to not just be a biz dev genius, which is great. Not just to run a profitable firm, very, very important, but that I'm signing up for this fascinating, challenging, sometimes frustrating, but ultimately rewarding opportunity to lead people, to lead human beings and everything that involves. That's a conscious decision. And then their conscious decision to follow you or not, because, as you're describing, people can do their jobs, get paid, come into the office, even if the office is, via Zoom or computer or whatever, but are they really consciously choosing to follow you? So it's a two, and they don't have to follow you. They can do the job, the checklist, the to-do list. That's rather transactional. But I think as leaders, you have the opportunity to be transformative. You can transform your agency for the future, and you can transform people and their careers and what they want for themselves and how they serve clients and all of that. That's the real opportunity. But to be a leader, you've got to have followers. And so again, that two part choice.
I would I would even add, and I was inspired as you were talking because I was thinking the big challenge of leadership in this era, I think, is the ability to not just be curious, but to broaden your curiosity.
Hmm.
Because I think that too often leaders get stuck in this track of, I know what makes success happen, I can do it, and I just need to stick to that vision. And I think now more than ever, we have had that paradigm be disrupted. It's no longer Plato's Republic of cobblers stick to your last. It is now a cobbler. You have got to open your eyes to the wild possibilities that you've not even considered and really challenge yourself.
I agree 100%. I think, and gosh, why do we call them soft skills? They're critical leadership skills. I believe to be an effective leader, you've got to be a curious leader. You've got to be curious about the world around you. You've got to be curious about your client's world, about the media's world. You got to be curious about the marketplace. Why? Because that whole notion of, I know what's gotten us here, that's great if the world's not going to change. The world is changing at speeds none of us can imagine. And I remember like talking about, oh, things are changing at warp speed 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years. Look at the last year. We couldn't imagine what warp speed looked like or what warp speed will look like. So, if part of the leader's responsibility, and I believe it is, it's to see the vision, what's coming after what comes next. Um, Quoting my dear friend Joel Curran, what comes after what comes next? And so that is the opposite of, I know what's gotten us here. And to use a cliche, and I don't know, Curtis, if you know this about me, I love cliches because they're truisms that have stood the test of time. And so, what got you to where you are and what got your organization to where it is not going to get your organization where it needs to go. That's just a truism, a cliche. Call it what you will. but I think it goes to curiosity.
And now that we're kind of here, I think this is a good time to touch on a point that I think is important. I think that people, as they're looking at their New Year's resolutions, need to be considering how they can be curious about how they stack up against other leaders. And I have been reviewing various leadership award entries. And I can't say who, I'm not allowed to say who, but you can use your imagination.
Now you
And,
all know why I was frightened. I mean, I,
and so the thing is that I have noticed that a lot of these leadership award entries do not consider what the great Whitney Houston would call a moment in time. And I think that leaders are not creating these opportunities to really benchmark their strengths against other leaders. I think they're not either willing to take these moments that are going to give them a chance to succeed or fail. And I wanted to get your thoughts about how leaders should really test themselves to make them better, and why, if at all, they should do that even.
yeah. Well, I think one can do that. I think one should look for one's leadership heroes, and they can be people in the past. We just had the David Finn Award, just the at PR, just my God, the leader as mensch, right? But they can be people, iconic leaders from the past. I worked for Janeway Schoonover and Barbara Hunter, agency Glass Ceiling Breakers, and they've inspired me. Um, Marina Marr, my gosh, how she inspires me to this day. So many, many others, many others. And so look for your leadership heroes. They can be from the past, they can be bosses you work for. I hate the word boss, by the way. They can be your peers, they can be people a generation or two, after yours. So I don't think it's a matter of competitiveness. I think it goes back to that curiosity of what's great leadership look like today? Who are leading in ways that I really admire? What do I want to take from each of them? And maybe reach out to them, have a Zoom, have a conversation about the leadership challenges they faced and how. And well, you can't do that with those in the past unless you have a seance, I guess. But but have that conversation and be have a leadership mentor, and that mentor again can be younger than you, less experienced than you. They just are the kind of leaders you admire. Always look for the leaders you admire.
I like that. And is there any last points you would like to make to all the people who watch and listen to this so that they can take their 2024 to a new level?
This will be a tad self-serving.
Yay! I
But
love that.
okay, he's glad. Please share the show, share the podcast from my website, jacobscom.com, or from YouTube if you're watching it there, or from LinkedIn. And this is not about me. This is about the leaders. And I'm so humbled by this that come on the show. And whether big agencies or small or corporate communications, they come on, they take time, they share their leadership wisdom, they tell me their leadership faux pas, which we love that, the leadership hurdles and how they've overcome. I find them so humble and so willing to share. I'm just amazed by that. And I hope it's okay to say that, if you share our podcasts with your social networks, I think that will help you and the people in your world learn more about leadership from these great leaders, like my friend Curtis Sparrer.
Shucks, you're giving me a big head, Ken. I'm delighted you're doing this. I definitely think sharing is caring. Share Ken's stuff, share my stuff, share stuff. And do more than just the core confines of your job. I promise you'll be better at it if you do.
So we're going to wrap now. We could go on, but we're not going to. But we got through this. It wasn't too scary. I connected with courage, which is a leadership tenet I believe in. Curtis, thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. And we're going to have you back We're going to put that table up right side up. I'm going to interview in 2025. That's one of my resolutions. So thank you for joining us again. And until next time, everyone, keep on taking the lead.